metric conversions is what we're looking at in this video. So we're going to start off by looking at length, and then we're going to move on to looking at mass conversions, and then we're going to look at area conversions, and then finally volume, and wrap up with some loaded questions. So the way my videos work, I'm going to do the example on the left, which is I do. You are then going to press pause, and I've got the example on the right, which is you do. So we're going to start off by looking at length. So firstly, what length conversions do you need to know about for your exam? So for your exam, these are the ones that you have to memorize. Okay, anything other than this, they will give it to you. So these ones you have to memorize. And a nice easy way is when you go in the exam hall for length, you can just write these out. And then from here to here, we are dividing by 10. From here to here, we are dividing by 100. And from here to here, we are dividing by 1000. So it just goes up by 1 0 each time. And to go the opposite way, you just times. And that is it. So like I said, you will need to memorize this. But I recommend as soon as you go in the exam hall, just write out mm, cm, m, and km. And then you just know you're going up by 10, 100, 1000, and then backwards in this way. So let's have a look at this question here then. We've been asked to convert 100 millimeters to centimeters. So firstly, you want to know, how do you go from millimeters to centimeters? Now, if I look down here, to go from millimeters to centimeters, so we're going this way, we're going to divide by 10. So the answer here is just going to be 100 divided by 10, which gives you 10 centimeters as your answer. So the example on the right, we've been asked to go from millimeters to centimeters as well. So again, millimeters to centimeters. So to go from here to here, I'm just dividing by 10. So the answer here is 24, divide that by 10. So the answer is 2.4 centimeters. Moving on, now we're going from centimeters to millimeters. Okay, we do need to be clear here. Let me just get rid of the ruler. Centimeters to millimeters. So centimeters is here, that's where we're starting. We're going 2 millimeters. So we're going this way. So we can see we're going to multiply that by 10. So that just becomes 520 millimeters. And again, on the right, exact same thing. We're just going to multiply it by 10. Moving on. So here we're going from meters to centimeters. So meters to centimeters. So that's times 100. And here again, meters to centimeters. Again, that's times 100. Moving on. So here we're going from centimeters to meters. So centimeters to meters, it's going to be that one there. So that is just divided by 100. So we're going to hop the decimal twice to the left. And then on the right, we are going from centimeters to meters. Again, we are going to divide by 100. So just hop the decimal twice to the left. So here we've been asked to go from a kilometer to meters. So to go this way, from kilometers to meters, we times by 100, so that becomes 10,000 meters. However, on this side, we are going from, hopefully, you have pressed pause now to go at this, by the way. We are going from meters to kilometers. So meters to kilometers, we are going this way. So we are dividing by 1000, so that becomes 1.2 kilometers. So here we are going from millimeters to meters. So millimeters to meters. Now here, it is key to note, obviously we are jumping to. So we're going from millimeters to meters. So we're going to divide by 10, then divide by 100. Now you can combine this and just say it's divided by 1000. You can just add the zeros together. Okay, there's 1 0 here and there's 2 zeros here. So you can do it in two ways. Either you divide by 10 and then divide by 100, which is the same as dividing by 1000 in one go. Okay, you can pick which one you decide to do. I tend to go with this one. So if I divide that by 1000, that just becomes... Okay, so on the right, we've been asked to go from kilometers to centimeters. So kilometers to centimeters. So again, I'm jumping to, so I'm going this way. And again, I'm going to times by 100, then times by 1000, or I can combine the zeros. So there's going to be 5 zeros altogether. So I can just say, well, actually, I'm going to times it by 5 zeros altogether. That's 4 zeros. Let's add the fifth one in. That's 5 zeros. So that then becomes 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 centimeters. That's quite a big number. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and I'll go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. So moving on, we're now looking at mass conversions. So how do you go from grams to kilograms to ton? So in this case, you divide by 1000. In this case, you divide by 1000. And to go the opposite way, you just times by 1000. And you just, again, you do need to memorize this. This is the mass conversions you need to know for GCSE Maths. So how do you go from kg to grams? And you can see at the bottom again, I have given you the conversions. Like I said, you will need to memorize these or write them down as soon as you get into the example. So 10 kg, so we are going from kg to grams. So that is going to be times 1,000. And on the right, we are going the opposite way. We are going from grams to kg, so we are going to divide by 1,000. Again, hopefully you pressed pause and let it go like this. So we are going from ton to kg, so times that by 1,000. And on the other side, we are going from kg to ton. So that is going to be 0.00156 ton. And moving on, here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. Now we're looking at volume conversions. So in terms of volume conversions, you need to know how to go from centimeters cubed to a litre, milliliters to a litre, and 1 centimeter cubed is equal to 1 milliliter. So these conversions are about the same. So this way, you will divide by 1,000. This way, you will times by 1,000. And it's the exact same thing here. Divide by 1,000 and times by 1,000. So looking over here, we are going from litres to centimeters cubed. So again, I've got the conversions at the bottom, and you can see to go from litres to centimetre. So to go from here to here, you times by 1,000. And on the right, we're going from centimeters cubed to litres, so we're going to divide that by 1,000. So again, hopefully you pressed pause and had a go at this. Now we are going from litres to millilitres. Again, we are timesing that by 1,000. Again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at this. So millilitres to litres. So we are going this way. So if I look at the arrow pointing that way, we are going to divide. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. And now we are looking at area conversions. So the reason I've left this on from before is just so you don't need, I guess the main reason is so you don't need to learn something new. If you know the length conversions, which is what we looked at earlier, the area ones are quite simple because with the area, this just becomes squared. And all you do is you square these. So all you need to do is learn the length conversions, and then for area, you just square everything. So if you look at our first example here, so it's saying, how do you go from centimeters squared to millimeters squared? So if I write down the length conversions, I just square everything, just so you don't have to learn something new. So if I look at the question again, how do you go from centimeters to millimeters? So we're going this way. So this is the bit we're interested in. So times 10 squared. Now times 10 squared is the same as times 100. So we're just going to times that by 100. And that's our answer. So you didn't need to learn a new conversion to do this. You just had to square what you already knew about length. So looking at the right, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go. So we are going from millimeters, which is that there, to centimeters. And we can see we're dividing by 10 squared. Now dividing by 10 squared is the same as dividing by 100. So if I divide that by 100, I end up with 2.59 centimeters squared. So looking at this one, so we are going again with these conversions, we are squaring everything. So going from 5 meters squared to millimeters squared, meter squared to millimeter squared. So we are going in this direction, which means we're multiplying. So I'm looking at this and this. Now I can combine these. So we are doing times 10 squared and then times 100 squared. So times 10 squared just becomes times 100, and then times 100 squared just becomes 4 zeros. So if I combine these two, I end up with times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're adding 6 zeros on. So that is essentially what we are doing. So we're doing 5 times that number. So that becomes 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 millimeters squared. So again, hopefully on the right, you've pressed pause and had a go. So we're going from millimeters to squared to meter squared. So we're going this way. So again, we are dividing by 10 squared. And then we are dividing by 100 squared. And again, dividing by 10 squared is the same as dividing by 100, and dividing by 100 squared, while 100 squared is just that. So again, if you combine them together, that just means you add all the zeros. So 4, 5, 6. So I just need to hop the decimal 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the answer is 0.00139 meters squared. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. And now moving on. So we're looking at another set of volume conversion. So before we looked at milliliters, milliliters, liters, and centimeters cubed. Now we're looking at these again. If you know the length conversions, you just need to memorize that. And all now you need to do is stick a cubed onto it. Now we are just cubing everything. So that's a 3 on everything, okay? So if we look at this first example, and if I put my cubes in, so it's saying, how do you go from meters cubed to millimeters cubed? So meters cubed to millimeters cubed. So we're going this way, so I'm timesing. So I am doing times 10 cubed times 100 cubed. Now that ends up with quite a few zeros, in fact. So that would be 10 times 10 times 10, which will be 1. So that would give you 3 zeros. And that will be 100 times 100 times 100, which will give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. So altogether we have 6, 7, 8, 9 zeros. So it'll be 11 with 9 zeros on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that is that. So hopefully you've pressed pause and I've got an example on the right. So we have millimeters cubed to meters cubed. And I'm just going to use what we've got here, in fact, because I know altogether we are just going to divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 zeros. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 0.1234512 meters cubed. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. And moving on, we're now looking at worded questions with length. So we have a plank which is 2 meters long. A carpenter cuts off 35 centimeters. It says work out the length of the plank left in centimeters. So we know everything in this question needs to be in centimeters. So this bit's fine. How do you convert 2 meters to centimeters? Well, meters, 2 centimeters, you times it by 100. So this just becomes 200 centimeters. So now, if you have 200 centimeters wood, he cuts off plank, and he cuts off 35. That means you're left with 165. Again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at the example on the right. So they want the answer in centimeters. So this bit's fine. We have a piece of string, another piece is tied on. Well, how do you convert that? So how do you go from millimeters to centimeters? Well, you divide that. So that becomes 12 centimeters. So the answer is going to be 30 plus the bit they've tied on. So that would be 42 centimeters in total. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. And moving on, so we're now looking at mass. It wants the answer in grams. So that's just going to be 5,000 grams. And it's saying, well, there's 5,000 grams of flour. She uses 300. What's left? So that must be 4,700 grams. It's what's left over. And again, hopefully you've pressed pause and had a go at this. So that is in tons. So this bit's fine. That's in kg. This bit, that needs to be converted to kg. So we have 1,200 kg, 450 is taken out. So we are left with 750 kg. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. Now moving on, we're looking at area. So we want the answer in centimeters squared. This bit's fine. This bit's not fine. So I want to convert that. So how do you go from meters squared to centimeters squared? Or you just square all of them. So we are going to times that by 100 squared. So that's just going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So that's 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros centimeters squared. So an area is cut out. So we're just going to do 30,000 and subtract that from 7,000. And we end up with 23,000 centimeters squared. And again, hopefully press pause and had a go at this. So this bit's fine. We just need to sort this bit out. So millimeters to centimeters. So millimeters squared to centimeters squared. So we are going to divide that by 10 squared, which is dividing by 100. So if I divide that by 100, I am left with 1200 centimeters squared. So a label is added to the poster. What is the area not covered? So you're just going to subtract the two. So that'll be 2,500, take away 1,200, which is 1,300 centimeters squared. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. And finally, we're looking at questions with volume. So here we have, they want the answer in milliliters. So that will obviously be 3,000 milliliters. So you just do 3,000, take away 450, and that gives you your answer as 2,550 milliliters. So this one is actually an interesting question, because you might be thinking, well, actually, I know how to convert between centimeters squared and liters, and what was the other one? Milliliters and liters, but I don't quite know how to convert between liters and meters cubed. Now, the answer is going to be meters cubed, so we know this bit's fine, so don't touch that. How do you get liters into meters cubed? Now, it's a good question. What you can do is convert the liters to centimeters cubed. You know how to do that because we've looked at that earlier. So that's just a case of dividing it by 1,000. So that becomes 0.7 centimeters cubed. Now that you have that, how do you convert centimeters cubed to meters? You know how to do that because we can use these length conversions down here. So if I have centimeters cubed and I want to go to meters cubed, I'm just going to divide that by oh no, sorry, it's not a division. It's a multiplication here. I was getting myself confused. So that's 700,123 centimeters cubed. And then we are dividing that by 100 cubed to get it to meters. And 100 cubed is just going to have 6 zeros in it altogether. So if I just hop the decimal 6 times, that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in fact, the answer just becomes 0.7 meters cubed. So that is our answer here. Well, actually, that's the conversion here. How much is strained in meters cubed? So 1.2 minus 0.7, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that would be 0.5 meters cubed as our answer. So here's some practice questions. Press pause and have a go. Here are the answers. Mark your work. Now, if you would like some more practice on this, I've got a full worksheet linked down in the comments below. And if you found this video useful, I've got loads of other content like this on my channel. Do check it out.